100,000 years ago, our planet froze. Sea levels dropped, and forests turned to tundra. A fragile species should have died out. Completely. They didn't. This is the story of how humanity survived the Ice Age that almost ended us before we began. It started slowly. In Earth's orbit changed how much sunlight reached the surface. Less sunlight meant less heat. Less heat meant more ice. And more ice reflected even more sunlight back into space. It was a feedback loop with no off switch. Within a few thousand years, glaciers up to 2 miles thick buried what is now Canada, Scandinavia, and Siberia. Sea levels dropped over 120 meters, enough to expose land bridges between continents that don't exist today. For most life on Earth, this was a death sentence. Over 100 large mammal species went extinct. Woolly mammoths, giant sloths, and saber-toothed cats vanished forever. And early humans? They had no fur, no claws, no thick hide. By every measure, we shouldn't have stood a chance. But humans had one advantage no other species on Earth had. We could change our behavior faster than our bodies could evolve. Fire wasn't new. Humans had controlled it for hundreds of thousands of years. But during the Ice Age, fire stopped being a convenience. It became the line between life and death. Caves became survival bunkers. Animal hides, once just material, became engineered cold-weather clothing, sewn together with bone needles found at sites in Russia dating back over 40,000 years. Bone needles, 40,000 plus years old. This is the part most people get wrong about the Ice Age. It wasn't brute strength that got us through it. It was tools. As the ice spread, started moving, following herds of reindeer and mammoths across land that doesn't exist anymore. One of those land bridges connected Siberia to Alaska. Today it's 50 miles of open ocean. Back then, it was solid ground, and it became the gateway for humans to reach an entire continent that had never seen a single person. First humans in the Americas, Ice Age migrants. They weren't trying to make history. They were just trying to survive the next winter. But in doing so, they became the ancestors of nearly everyone who would ever live in North and South America. Here's the part that should terrify you. Genetic studies suggest that during the harshest stretch of this period, the entire global human population may have dropped to as few as 10,000 breeding individuals. For context, that's smaller than the population of a single small town today, representing the entire human species on Earth. One bad decade, one harsh enough with no one left to remember it. We were that close to never existing at all. Around 11,700 years ago, the ice finally began to retreat. The climate stabilized into the relatively mild, predictable world we still live in today. The same humans who had spent millennia just trying to survive now had something they'd never had before: stability. Within a few thousand years, that stability gave rise to farming, permanent settlements, and eventually, civilization itself. Cities, writing, exists because a tiny, freezing population of humans refused to disappear. We like to think of ourselves as the dominant species on this planet. But the truth is, we spent most of our history one bad winter away from extinction. The only reason you're watching this video right now is because a handful of people in the middle of a frozen wasteland refused to give up. If you want to see what happens next in human history, subscribe, because that story is just getting started.